Music and Administration, Good Foundations and Competitions with Dr. Shih-Han Chiu. Stay inspired. So Erika, just wanted to start out just talking a little bit about the Asian Double Reed Association and just how this came about and your work with the association. Could you share a little bit about this group with us?
Yeah, let me start it. ADRA was founded in 2011 by the president, Professor Yoshi Ishikawa. He's the professor at the University of Colorado at Boulder, along with other faculties or bassoon teachers, oboe teachers in Taiwan, China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong. Did I miss any places? Thailand, some other places. It's an organization. We try to unite and serve teachers, researchers, performers, students of both ethnic and European double reed instruments, oboe and bassoon in Asia. And our function, we want to do is act as a media for double reed players in Asia. Try to help them and direct them to any questions or stories which related to double reed instruments. It can be where to find a bassoon book, or is there any double reeds competition, or where can I find a good bassoon reed? Those kind of questions we try to help and provide to the people in Asia.
Wonderful. And it'd be amazing to hear some of your administration work, Erika, and just how you got involved in working behind the scenes of this association and other work. Yeah.
So Cameron, we probably knew already. I you're part of Professor Ishikawa's studio as well too. I started to help doing the organization, like administration work, when I was a doctoral student at the Professor Ishikawa's studio. And so I slowly dive into arts administration, this category. I started to assist professors or assist other board members to host the conference, which we had in Thailand in 2011. Was it 11, right, Cameron?
Uh-huh.
I believe so. Okay, good. And then 2013 in Taiwan, 2015 in Japan, and we had one recently, 2019 in Beijing, China. So I slowly helped to organize those administration work, which is totally different than playing the bassoon. I have to learn how to use the Excel sheets better. And I have to do a budget planning, what is budget planning? I don't have any clue. I have to make a Photoshop for all the program books, and those kind of all the stuff behind being a performer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything you can see behind the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating just thinking about these conferences where a lot of us just get to show up and enjoy, but just
you cannot imagine how much work you have to do. Sometimes you have to even check how is the safety regulation. It's like it is okay to have public events in these specific buildings, areas. Do we have enough safety? Or I have to print the program. Sometimes I forgot. And you have to collect all the files from all the performers. That's a lot of work. So after this, I built up a lot of experience during my school year. And after that, I graduated. I also do a part-time job to work in a non-profit organization, which is called ISIN, International Young Artists Festival. I was also doing the arts administration for them to coordinate the events to assist singers as well. Fortunately, all of my work are among music arts industry, and I'm so glad that either I'm a bassoon player or an arts administrator. All my goal or mission is to share and to deliver the music to public, to friends, to community. So, which I'm glad I am on the right track to do that. And so when I do the arts administration work, I know I am not a performer, but I'm so happy to assist other performers to help them out and to bring the music to different societies, to different groups, and to know more people who love the music. So I think that is something really fascinating for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this, just like collaboration, we play in chamber music. We work with so many different instruments. But in art administration, I work with different organizations, different vendors, different backgrounds. It's a little bit broader, how to say?
Yeah, like
Community, environment, community, the music, but all of them are still very interesting to meet new people.
Cameron's question for you, Erika. What aspects and approaches of music making do you find similar and different in the US compared to Taiwan?
So first of all, I want to say no matter where I go, I think everybody's purpose is trying to make good music, to have a good music. Yes, there's different styles, different interpretations, but the bottom line, everybody wants to make a good music. So that comes back to the question you asked. From my own experience, I grew up in Taiwan. I studied there with a system. I think it's quite a bit different than the system I have learned in America. How can I put like it in this way? Is when I was young, I think in Asia we tend to learn, or the way we try to learn or aiming for its technique is quite important. I would say technique is the most important in Asia. That's during my time. Maybe they changed it already. For me, technique is more important. I mean, techniques is something like articulations. Can you be fast enough, or can you play slow, or how fast your fingerings can move, or how high the notes you can play easily? Those fundamental things, it's more emphasized in Asia. I will say that. Why I say that, you're asking me why I think it's wrong. When I say that, it's they think that's very important. And when I was learning, I have to practice like long-term exercise, like for half hour every day. Skill scale book scales, maybe half hour to an hour every day. That's my everyday routine. That's the fundamental we have to do every day. My teacher probably won't let me play a lot of fancy music until I have a very, very solid foundation. So I was being very, very bored for the first couple of years. And once I have that, I have my ego idea. So I start to play something so fancy, how fast I can play. I was playing like, my favorite probably is Weber, the Hungarian Rondo, the last section. I try to play as fast as I can. And to a point, I was like, why am I doing that? But that's something for fun. I'm like trying to get the extreme as I can. So that's the idea I feel in China. It's like we tend to be more focusing on foundations. And then in here, I feel like I learn more on how to interpret your music, how to understanding the background of your specific music. I can think more outside of the box. I can be more free to explore new ideas. In Asia, for me, maybe at that time, that's the only way your teacher tells you. You cannot do anything other than that. If you do something other than that, you're wrong. So I won't say right now it's like that because I believe everything has been changed. Younger generation will go back to China already or Asia. Things get different already. But that's the time I learned, which was like 20, 30 years ago. And that is something I feel that's different. But I won't say either one, it's good or bad. Both are good. Both are something I can learn from both directions.
Could you share any tips or advice or like even like an audition prep routine?
So I practice skills every day and arpeggios. No matter what happens, I play through 24 scales every day, solidly. Yeah. And I don't have to play like any other books, but that's something, if I don't have time, that is something you have to play. Because for me, all the music are the development from arpeggios and scales. All the intervals, everything, it's passage, 3 notes in a row passage or intervals. Everything is the transformation from scales and arpeggios. That's I play every day. So during the audition, oh my God, preparing for orchestra audition or preparing for competition. Oh my God, it's difficult. Oh my God, this is a big question. But bottom line is, for me, it's no matter either competition or competition, 2 to 3 weeks prior to that event, you have to have everything solid. I give myself at least 2 weeks of time. Just repeat everything. For example, 2 weeks of time, you probably it's already reaching to 95% of your playing already. The 2 weeks you spend, it's not just increasing that last 5%. You actually it's increasing another 20 to 30% of your goal. So you have to practice to a point behind that. And I will say to a point, you can wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock and start still playing the Rite of Spring right away. That is something you have to be in your body, in your mind, basically in your blood. That's something I was thinking. I won't say I'm a good audition, like orchestra auditionist. I won't say that because I don't think I'm good enough compared to other people. But for the competition, I'm really confident. It's I do a lot of preparation before the competition. I settle myself down, and I basically just sleep with my piece the whole time. I can just walk on the street and start singing the piece. I can, while I'm cooking, I still sing the piece, fingering my hands while I'm cooking, while I'm like taking a shower. I was like, oh, that's the notes. I should crescendo there. I should do them. It's just they have to get into your body, be part of your body. That's something. And before that, whatever. Just practice. I'll tell you. Do all the stuff your teacher tells you to make it to that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can have a practice with different tempos every week, or every day, or you have your goal. That's every teacher has a different approach. You can find your own approach as well. But no matter what happened until 2 weeks ago, you have to just meld yourself into the music, no matter what happened.
It would be great to hear some of your freelancing tips and advice, Erika.
Yes, actually, I would say it's very difficult to be a freelancer, but it's very fun at the same time because you can know so many different groups, different people. Like you say, we have to bring different reads. Maybe sometimes in Boulder, Colorado, it's high altitude reads, or we are in some places like Houston, it's very humid, or in some places maybe in Canada during the winter time, it's very cold. So you have to make your own reads to make an adjustment for that. I think you have to be smart. You have to be flexible, just adaptable, and you have to listen always. I mean, listen. It's open your ear, listen to other sections, what they are doing, listen to the conductors, listen to everything around you to make adjustments as much as possible. The reads, yes, of course. Do you bring your own music? Do you bring music? Do you have everything with you? That's something already minor. From my experience, I don't know that's right or wrong. Some orchestra asked me to play very soft as a second bassoon player. Some orchestra asked me to play louder than the first bassoon. Okay, so in this case, it's balance. What you need to do, you have to be smart, look smart to check on the reaction of your principal bassoonist or the other players around you, and to make adjustment as quick as possible. And sometimes maybe they will ask you to play 442. And in Asia, sometimes they ask you to play 444. I was biting my reeds so much to a point I guess I just cut my reeds too short. Just do whatever you have to do, and then you don't have enough time to make adjustment to waste. You have to make decision and make a correct decision. Either change your reeds or change your vocal or make whatever adjustment you have to do, either within one rehearsal or second rehearsal. So that takes a lot of abilities. And of course, most of the time people will say, do the music the first time. Trust me, that's not most of the case. People will bring the music to you during first rehearsal. It means you have to have a good, solid techniques for sight reading. So those are here and there little tips. I was fortunate people like to ask me to be a freelancer because I have a pretty good sight reading skills. I will, thanks to my piano teacher, forced me to play a lot of piano when I was little. Yes, basically I can play everything 90, 80, 90% the first time. I don't, there's like pretty much don't have any mistakes the first sight reading. So I was really fortunate, and that's something you have to develop during your own time prior to that gig. So that's some of the things I have learned in my past couple of years as a freelancer.
Any books, Erika? It could be music related or leisure.
I do be open-minded with everything I read. Okay, sometimes you can just like flip through. I just know the facts. Sometimes I don't remember, but I just try to be open-minded, and I know where are my resources. If I have to write a paper, I would know where to find it. If not, just read it. Just be my backup knowledge. Like I try to absorb everything in like memory card, so I would know where to look for when I need it.
Mm-hmm.
And you say if there's any specific one, I want to be honest, not really.
Is there a course that comes to mind? It could be about anything that you wish had been offered, or with your students now that you wish they had the opportunity to take.
Cameron, you have to help me out for this.
Yeah, like in the American system, especially with undergrads, students have to do a lot of different
courses
outside of music. So I guess that's one way, how it all can be incorporated. I think there's an entrepreneurial subject.
We did. We do have actually. It's they developed that department. It's a huge department in CU right now. It becomes one of the individual solid department instead of a seminar. Yeah. For the entrepreneurship class or department in CU, it used to was taught by only one teacher, and that was, if I remember correctly, that was kind of a seminar class or workshop after, like in our free time. But right now they developed to become an actual department, which is really, really good. And I'm really grateful that universities do that. But so at that time, back to your question, if there's anything I wish the university was offer, would probably will be one of those class. And to be more specific, will be the interview skills. I wish I could learn a little bit more, or I could find some other resources or go to other departments to learn that. That's something I feel it's very weak for myself, and I wish I had learned before, or my university could offer a little bit more workshop on this specific topic or subject. Mm-hmm. Because no matter where you go, you apply for teaching job at high school, or you apply for a job to become a college professor, you have to go through those interviews, 2 to 3 days interviews. We all have experience on teaching a bassoon because we were teaching assistants in master degrees or doctoral degrees. We all have experience on that. But I don't think I had a lot of experience on how to do a good interview. I had a tendency to talk off the topic during my job interview, or I was not quite through what they were talking about or something when I was just right after the graduate. Mm-hmm. So I wish I had a little bit more classes or practice of those skills.
I love that you mentioned interviews, Erika, and something that comes to mind is even like our orchestra interviews, like where maybe you get to a certain round and then you get to meet the panel, and just thinking, we never practiced that actually in university, where we do all this work with our excerpts and, getting...
We do a lot of mock auditions. Like we play excerpts in front of people, which usually is the first round or second round for the orchestra audition. And once you pass to the third round, you have to pair with your colleagues to play an actual concert. And and then my friend gave me a tip, like they are not only looking for your playing, because everybody passed that level once you're in the final round. They are looking for someone they can work for entire life or work for many years. It's someone they basically pretty much see more than their families. So they are looking for someone. So you have to know how to communicate with your colleagues to convince them, yes, I'm the correct person. Yeah, you cannot just be a good player. You have to know your colleagues. You communicate with your principals or communicate with your section members. That is something I think is very important. Karen, do we offer that at school? I don't remember we have something similar like that.
No, but like I know in America, like in high school generally, people do a lot more speeches and stuff like that. It's much more thing in America. Like Americans are very good at writing and speaking.
Yes, I found that as well too.
An advantage there.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. In Asia, like I don't do speech at all. Like we don't do public speech or maybe a little bit debating if you join certain kind of groups, but I don't do public speech at all during my high school years. So when I first came to America, I was really quiet for many years. One thing is I don't think my English was good enough. The second is I don't really know what to say. Even my thought was blocked in a box. I was not creative enough to think everything outside of the box to do a communication, to do a conversation with my colleagues. So it's something that's very useful in America.
Are there any like bassoon compositions or anything that comes to mind that you could share with us to check out?
Actually, to be honest, there are so many good or so many contemporary bassoon works written in the past couple of years. I think it's quite a lot. Some of them actually is really pretty. I wrote a little cheat sheet. Or did a screenshot. I don't even remember where is that. So I tried every time when I hear something good, I will screenshot it so I will remember. But right now I just don't remember the name. I heard that there's one good piece. I think it's written by a Brazilian composer. It's a little bit tango style or something. I don't remember. I think it's new, and if I find out, I will share with everybody. I still cannot remember. Last year, one of my teacher, or one of the bassoon teacher I know from China, he gave me one of his 80 books. He just spent his time collecting NA2. This 80 book is written in pentatonic. So yes, the same idea as newly 24 skill studies, same idea, same principle, but he just used pentatonic, the 5-note pentatonic instead of. And then in China, there's also another ancient key mode. It's different than is that Goguryeo Chen? So he used pentatonic and then a 7-note scales. Chinese 7-note scales, and to write a skill book. And it's quite interesting. And I found the pattern, the finger is different than major and minor scales. So sometimes you'd be like, oh, okay, I jump these notes, I have a different fingers. Oh, this one supposed to be F major as a F, like in one key, but right now it it happens to be F sharp. So it gave me some new ideas to stimulate my thoughts a little bit. That's kind of interesting for me.
To hear about your bassoon and just like any fun quirks about it or just the story behind it.
I have a Muslim bassoon. I am very fortunate to become one of the Muslim artists. So I have a Muslim bassoon. My serial number is 8200, gentleman model. And if I remember correctly, my particular bassoon, was the first gentleman's model which Mr. Muslim made for the American bassoonist. So before that, he only made a regular long bell. And I remember when I decided to switch my bassoon to Muslim, I told Mr. Muslim, I said, "It's possible I can have a gentleman joint, because in that case, I will have a much smaller bassoon case." The big one was way too heavy for me. And I had my bassoon for almost 10, 15 years, and I was much smaller than that time, than right now. So I barely can carry the regular bassoon case. I think it's way too heavy. So I said, "Is it possible? Can you make a gentleman joint for me?" And he's like, "Let me think. I think that's possible." So I think that's the first gentleman joint he made for American bassoonist. And he picked that one for me. So on my bell, I have very beautiful rings all around. What was the first bassoons before Muslim? Which one you're talking about? What's my bassoon before Muslim? Oh my God, it's an embarrassing story to say, but my first bassoon, it's not because of the instrument. The instrument is fantastic. It's a Schreiber bassoon, but I lost it. Don't ask me how. I lost it. So I'm very embarrassed to say that in front of public. I lost the instrument. So my parents had to buy me another one. And it was really fortunate. I bought my teacher's Puchner student model. I played that for so many years until my master's degree. And I changed to Muslim after that. Okay, just don't ask me how did I lost my bassoon.
We're like, story time, Erika.
I just don't even know how did that happen. I was waiting on a bus. I sat the bassoon next to me for a second. It was gone. I hopped on the bus. I totally forgot I brought my bassoon. And when I realized that, I went back immediately. I stopped the bus. I ran back, and it was gone. So that's very embarrassing. But yes, I had an amazing bassoons around, and each one has a bit different. So I asked Mr. Morris, I said, "Can you make a gentleman joint for me?" He said, "Yes." So he picked a beautiful one for me. And then I have been playing that since then until right now. I told myself I can lose myself, but I cannot lose the bassoon.
Never again. It's like,
never again. There's no chance. I'm glad at that time. Oh, I'm not glad at all, but I just don't know how did that happen. It was just gone. And I feel so embarrassed to tell everybody, and my teachers in Taiwan still tease me about that. But that happened. I feel embarrassed.
Maybe one day it'll surface, Erika. Maybe.
No, actually, no. Take it. I think someone told me they might see it a couple years later. Do you know why? I have a special one keys on that particular instrument. My hand was way too small. you understand the Schreiber, it's already have a thinner wall, and then both long joint and the wing joints are, compared to other instruments, fairly narrow already. My hand is really small, but I still cannot reach the whisper key. So my teacher in Taiwan, he told me, say, maybe we can ask someone to mail in another piece on my whisper key to make it longer. So my instrument becomes the special one, has a much longer whisper key than others. And that melting, it's not perfect, but it's different. So someone told me a couple years later, they think they might sold that instrument. But I was like, there's nothing I can do. I cannot tell the people, say, you are return me the instrument or not. But yeah, hopefully.
Your whisper key, you might enjoy adding a French whisper key. That's for your left little finger.
French.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one.
Some people love that.
That could work. But in that case, you have to get used to it. That could work. I had an experience with put a rubber band on between my vocal and that little piece on top. I don't really know, and so my whisper key will close down the whole time. That's a different story.
It's like MacGyvering, for smaller hands. It's like, okay, as long as that's closed,
That's close. I put a rubber band around that.
Shih-Han, I have a question.
Sure.
Now like a lot of students are starting much younger on, say, like the little fagottino. Or bassoons are much better adapted for kids with small hands. In previous years, sort of our generation and before, it's more common for bassoonists to start in the early teenage years. But now it's quite late. It's changing.
Oh my God.
Do you think that's going to sort of change everything about the bassoon and just, it's a big question.
It's a very big question because I actually started the bassoon when I was second grade. So that was age of 8, 9 already, 8, probably 8, very young compared to most people already. Fortunately, I had a Schreiber that is quite lightweight compared to many other bassoons. And sometimes I have to take out the boot joint. I don't have to play low B file or low B all the time, so I took out my boot joint, the belt. I take out my belt when I was practice. Is that correct? For the fagottino, they have 6 intervals difference or something like that. It's not in key of C, something like that. So when you play C, it's not something like C. Is that right? I think it's different.
Like I guess a lot of people now, bassoon is kind of like maybe their first instrument. Previously it was always like a second instrument, and
I know. I will say, if you can stick with your regular bassoon, I will prefer that because I know I did. I was really young. I was really skinny. I was probably less than 80 pounds or 70 pounds at that time. I hold it. I can do it. I think most people can do it. I was much shorter than a bassoon. Even a bassoon is like, I was basically only reached to the vocal that high, the height of vocal. So I was shorter than bassoon. I was skinny. And if I can do it, I think people can do it. That's my own personal thought, because I know bassoon is not a transposed instrument like clarinet. I will feel really weird if I hear a fagottino. I think that's a totally different instrument.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Whole education has changed.
I know right now it's a change. I know I'm a little bit old-fashioned. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit old-fashioned.
Yeah. We can read and all that stuff easily now, you know?
Yeah. I know it's easier for students, but I think if you could do it, I would stuck with the regular bassoon more. Yeah. It just, unless you learn like a trumpet player or French horn player, they can do their side transpose immediately. Otherwise, for me, C to C, that's my ear. So, but you know, I don't mind kids learn that as long as they like bassoon. Besides, actually, bassoon is the first instrument I play besides the piano. So I never learned the clarinet or saxophone before that. But bassoon is just the first one. So I started out with this gigantic instrument when I was age less than 10. I was a grade 2 in elementary school and was taller than me, much bigger than me. My mom said I look exactly the same size as bassoon. They cannot really see me. What's the difference between bassoon and me at that same time? But I got managed that. I know I appreciate all the bassoon makers. They make it much narrower or lighter weight. That really helps a lot and build my muscles. I can carry heavy instruments since I was very young. Yeah, and good. I think I even did what's it called, the suitcase trailers or something. I have wheels on that, so I can carry it around. It was way too heavy for me at that time. So, but it's a good experience. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Richard. So nice to see you all.
Erika, thank you so much.